Welcome back, everybody, to the 423 Football Podcast. Today is the day we announce our giveaway winner for the month of May. So if you don't know already, we've been having our T.Y. Hilton signed photo giveaway going on all month. We had a little less enthusiasm for this one compared to the Le'Veon Bell jersey, which I guess that's understandable. But still an awesome giveaway opportunity. We will announce the winner of that giveaway at the end of the show, so stick around till the end to find out if you have won our giveaway. And I'll also be posting it on Twitter at some point during the day. I'll DM whoever won, obviously. And that's at the 423 Football, by the way. But anyway, I'm your host, Brandon Bouchard, joined here as always by Brett Hamilton.
Hello.
And I shouldn't say as always because you decided to bail on me last week and go to the beach.
Yeah,
but
I would say I'm sorry, but I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, Hilton Head's awesome.
Yeah, had some fantastic seafood. Just amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, I was sitting here and I was just looking, or we were just talking about all the seafood places in Hilton Head to eat. And I mean, at any beach is great because seafood is the best food in the world. And I was like talking myself like into possibly going to like Long John the Silver's again. So I was like, I just want seafood.
Just scratch that itch.
I just need the seafood. But anyway, so today our show is going to be talking about old faces in new places. So all those guys during the offseason that change teams, whether it be by a trade or whether they sign in free agency, basically just them moving to another team. So we'll go through just the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends for that. Again, strictly fantasy. Obviously, there's a lot of players that shifted teams on the defensive side of the ball as well, but this is just talking fantasy football.
Yep.
A few things to go over in the news real quick. Brandon Marshall signed with the Seahawks. I don't think I mentioned that in last week's show.
Nope.
But we'll talk more about that. Obviously, old faces and new places. We'll get to that when we get to wide receivers. And I do want to mention Clay Matthews, if you haven't seen it already. Clay Matthews, during their charity softball game, got hit in the face with a line drive when he was pitching. Right in the nose, just immediately down and walked off the field, went to the hospital. Apparently he's going to have surgery on his broken nose, but I assume he'll be fine. It could have been a lot worse. That's what he said. That's what a lot of people are saying. But, I mean, I'm not making too much of a deal about this. It's just shocking that that's like one of those freak injuries playing softball. Because they've been doing that. They've been doing that softball tournament for decades now. Oh. And this is the first time I've seen that. But isn't that like a rule, like a common courtesy? You don't hit the ball up the middle in a softball game, a slow pitch.
Yeah. I mean, I hope. Obviously, I don't think the batter would have tried. He's probably just hitting the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it was Lucas Patrick who hit it, who's like a third string lineman. Oh. So I mean, they're all great athletes, but still. But
just one of those freak things.
Yeah, one of those freak things. And honestly, it's scary. I hate pitching, doing slow pitch softball because you're like 20 feet away from the catcher or from the batter, and I mean, you don't have much time to react, even if they're not coming at you as fast as a baseball. But still, anyway, okay, into the thick of the show. Old faces, new places. Starting with the QBs. First one we got Kirk Cousins. Going to the Vikings. And actually, now that I just see this, I left a player off this list. Ooh. But we'll get to here in a second. But Kirk Cousins going to the Vikings. I assume this is going to be the guy that has the biggest jump in production and fantasy value for this year. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially at the QB position, just because Redskins were not very reliable.
Such a better team.
Yeah, and granted, Kirk Cousins had a top 8 fantasy year last year.
Oh, yeah.
And that was because I feel like he was throwing the ball relentlessly because the Redskins were so bad and they were down most of the game. So they had to throw the ball. But
do you think that hurts him going to the Vikings where he's going to be
that's what I think
playing from behind a lot less and really strong defense and really choke out at the other team?
I understand that. That's why, honestly, I'm not moving him up. I'm not moving him down. I have him about where he was last year, or I had him ranked last year, which was about top 8. because, I mean, the Vikings obviously clearly a better team, so there's going to be more opportunity to score. But again, I think they're going to do a lot more on the ground. They're going to be more conservative just because their defense is so good as well. Yeah. So, Kirk Cousins is not going to have to throw the ball relentlessly. He had, I think, over 4,500 passing yards last year. I think he might get over 4,000.
Yeah,
but I don't see him reaching.
No, I just don't think he'll need to.
No, definitely not. I love Adam Thielen this year.
Yeah.
Like him a lot more than Stephon Diggs. I still like Diggs and everything, but I know people are still hype on Diggs because he made one play, and it was a good play.
It wasn't a good play.
It wasn't even all his doing, really. It was a god awful tackle. Yeah. So I still think Adam Thielen is the guy that I'd want to have in Minnesota.
Yeah, me too.
Now Kirk Cousins, obviously, he's been known to target his tight ends a lot. He's had Vernon Davis there before. He had Jordan Reed. Obviously, couldn't stay healthy, but he loves his tight ends. Kyle Rudolph, how big of a step up, if any, do you think he'll have this year?
I think he'll have a step up. I mean, I think I've got him about maybe two, because I already had it. He's already one of the better tight ends in the league. He scores a lot of touchdowns.
It's not saying a lot, but yeah.
No, it's definitely not saying a lot. So I'll have him move it up a couple just because I think the touchdown opportunity is going to be there for him.
Yeah.
And that's not going to go away. That may even improve. But I think he can have more opportunity to get the yards to match the touchdowns.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I think he does deserve a bump up.
Yeah. Number 2 on our list, Case Keenum, moving from the Vikings, going to Denver, where they hopefully have the quality weapons that can stay consistent with Case Keenum.
And healthy.
Yeah. Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders staying there. They go out and draft Cortland Sutton. Cortland Sutton. So Case Keenum has weapons. Honestly, they're very, very similar to what he had in Minnesota. Tight end, not really there.
No.
But
who did they sign? They got rid of Virgil.
Yeah, they got rid of Virgil. I think they have Jake Butt still as their next guy, which, I mean, he could be good. He was a top prospect before he tore his knee to pieces.
Yeah.
But yeah, Keenum's going to have weapons. I think Denver they're going to be better than people give them credit for. Obviously, that defense is still strong. They have in my opinion, a really good running back now in Royce Freeman. But Case Keenum, I don't really, in terms of fantasy, he's not going to have the kind of year he did last year.
No,
last year was incredible.
Can't sustain that. I mean, he had the best year of his career.
Yeah,
and you just can't. I'm not expecting that from him this year.
No, he's probably going to be outside my top 25, honestly, at the position.
Really? That's pretty low.
There's a lot of good quarterbacks out there, and Case Keenum.
I guess. I mean, that's like really low.
I mean, I understand.
That's like scraping the bottom of the bucket. I mean, if you think that the Broncos are going to be better, he's got the weapons at the wide receiver position.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you?
There's just a lot of quarterbacks that I like. I know Case Keenum had a good year, but you got to think of all the quarterbacks that got hurt and kind of pushed him up. Yeah. Rodgers was hurt. Watson was hurt. Wentz was hurt. I mean, he lasted most of the year, but I mean, players stepping up and getting into new roles, and a lot of teams getting rookie quarterbacks that might even, like, if you tell me Josh Rosen is going to be the starter week 1, I'm taking him over Keenum, honestly. I would take him over Keenum.
Okay.
People, I mean, that might be a shock, but anyway.
That is a shock.
Yeah.
I'm appalled.
Appalled, yes.
You can see my eyes. They're bugging out of my head.
You seem like it. So, next on our list, the one I just wrote in, because apparently I forgot to write him on the list, Alex Smith, going to the Redskins.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to figure out which one you didn't write when I was looking at the script. And he never came to my mind.
Well, he's not going to be in consideration for me even drafting him this year, honestly.
No.
I think people are all about that, saying that Alex Smith in Washington is going to be a big step up for like Jamison Crowder and the short yardage guys, which, I mean, that's fine. Crowder could have a good season. Smith could have an okay season, but I think that team is going to be horrible. One of the worst teams in the NFL, in my opinion. They're going to try to run the ball behind that offensive line more so than anything. The defense is terrible, so they're not going to have the opportunity to run the ball as much as they like. But, yeah Alex Smith, I don't know. It's the beginning of the end for the guy.
You like him more than Case Keenum?
No.
Okay.
No.
So he's one of the 7 that you have below him.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right, next on the list, A.J. McCarron. A.J. McCarron going to the Bills. Who do you think is going to be the Week 1 guy? McCarron or Josh Allen?
Josh Allen. I'm sad. I would like to see A.J. McCarron start at least a couple of games.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, they love Josh Allen.
They knew exactly what they wanted, and they got it. And it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate situation for McCarron because before the draft, he thought, wow, he's going to have a chance to start. We're going to see what he can do. He's been playing back up to Andy Dalton for his whole career, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Yeah. I may be wrong, and I hope I am.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, Josh Allen's really. I think Josh Allen's really good. So it's not just, it's not just the draft capital speaking. I think Josh Allen is a good quarterback.
Yeah, and once again, I missed another name on this list. I'll go ahead and mention him now. Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor going to the Browns.
Yeah, duh.
Tyrod Taylor going to the Browns. Obviously, they draft Baker Mayfield with the first overall pick, but it seems like Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starter for Week 1 and maybe the entire season if he plays well. They have added a ton of pieces on that team just all around.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor, I do want to see him given a chance.
Yeah.
In I wouldn't say better offense than what he's had in Buffalo because LaShawn McCoy and he's had Sammy Watkins and a really good offensive line.
Yeah.
But now in Cleveland, it's where QBs go to die. And I hope it doesn't happen to Tyrod because I think he's a great quarterback. Honestly, I think he's just as good as what Baker could be. Yeah. I think Baker's ceiling is honestly about what Tyrod Taylor is. I don't have much faith in Baker Mayfield, honestly.
No.
But yeah, it's just I think Tyrod's going to put up some nice fancy numbers early in the season if he is given the starter role.
Yeah, that was one of the off-season situations that I just did not like because I do like Tyrod Taylor a lot. And last year, I thought he got the short end of the stick on many, many, many occasions where he didn't deserve it. And I just think there's a lot of problems with that Bills offense that he got blamed for that weren't his fault at all.
Yeah.
And on the defensive side, that obviously wasn't his fault. And so I was really excited because I thought, okay, they're finally done with Tyrod. He's going to go somewhere and get an opportunity to go. And then he gets traded to the Browns. And then I'm just like, okay.
They have the weapons. It looks, on paper, it looks beautiful.
But it's the same situation as the Bills. I mean, they've got LaShawn McCoy. They've got Sammy Watkins. They've got these names, and they just don't do anything with them. And it's just like the Browns. You've got Josh Gordon. You've got Corey Coleman. You've got the Duke,
baby.
And they just don't do anything with it. So it's just like, I don't know. It was such a lateral move, in my opinion. I really, really hope he starts every game that he's healthy because I want to see it no matter where he is, and I want him to not be blamed for all of the offensive and defensive problems.
Yeah, Tyrod's he's a very underrated quarterback.
He has a lot of talent. It's just the Bills were just not a good team.
No.
And even with the Bills not being a good team, they still were they were like the wild card last year.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't even that bad of a season.
No.
It turns out.
No.
Even with all of that,
they just hated Tyrod for some reason.
It's so unfortunate.
Yeah.
He just didn't go to a better situation.
Yeah. All right, last quarterback I'm going to mention, Sam Bradford, going to the Cardinals. Obviously, they draft Josh Rosen. Getting tongue-tied today. My word, that was awful. Josh Rosen, who I think was probably the steal of the draft, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Josh Rosen being the best quarterback in the entire draft, going all the way down to 6, where the Cardinals take him. But we're talking about Bradford here. Do you think it's going to be Rosen or Bradford Week 1?
Week 1, I think it's going to be Bradford.
God, I hate that. I hate that so much.
I do. I fully expect to see Rosen very early in the season, though.
Yeah, whether it be Bradford being injured or just because they think Rosen's ready.
Yeah, either one.
Either one. But most likely the injury is going to happen
It's going to come down to who can pass the ball and hand the ball off to David Johnson better.
Yeah, that's about it. You want to talk running backs now?
Yeah, that was all the QBs. even with the ones that Brandon added in at the last minute.
Yeah, my bad.
wait, hey, we may have the same situation with running backs. We may have some additions to this list as well.
Yeah, if they weren't that relevant, I kept them off the list.
Yeah.
Obviously, Alex Smith and Tyrod that's relevant.
Yeah, that's definitely, they should be on the list. But moving on to running backs, Carlos Hyde going to the Browns from the 49ers. This was I really liked this move to begin with, and now, and yeah, I was a little bit confused too, and now it's really muddy. There's a lot of mouths to feed in the Browns' backfield now. You still got the Duke, but he's more. I don't know. Do you think that Duke? I know this isn't a Duke Johnson podcast, but do you think they're going to keep him in a similar role as he did last year, where he's going to be receiving the ball most of the time, or is he going to be fighting for, or he's going to be taking some touches away in the backfield?
I don't know. The Browns' running back situation is very, very odd to me because Carlos Hyde obviously brought in. Carlos Hyde's a very talented back. Wasn't used to his maximum potential in San Francisco. Right. Obviously, they draft Nick Chubb, who a lot of people are going to say is going to jump Carlos Hyde and be the starting running back. And then you have Duke Johnson, who had a great year, especially receiving the ball last year. But they used him a lot in the slot last year, and now they have Jarvis Landry, so they might not need to do that.
Yeah.
I guess maybe a Chris Thompson kind of role for Duke Johnson.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I don't know. Carlos Hyde that's a scary, scary situation.
Because I really liked it before the draft, and then they spin the draft.
Oh, I loved it before the draft.
Chubb, and then I was just confused.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Why would you spend on Carlos Hyde if you know you're going to turn around and take a running back at number 2? I don't know. I just don't know. Or number 3, sorry.
Yeah.
Because they had 2 early picks.
Yeah. I don't know. Carlos Hyde, just a sticky situation. That's all I
is. I mean, I like Carlos Hyde a lot, but it's just, it didn't go well for him in the draft. On the other side of the equation, on the 49ers, Jerrick McKinnon going to the 49ers from the Vikings. Jerrick had he had a really solid year last year because of the Dalvin Cook injury early on in the season when he and Latavius kind of split time. And really, it was frustrating for, even if you were a Jerrick McKinnon owner or you're a Latavius Murray owner, you weren't happy like every other week.
Yeah.
It was like 1 week Jerrick would go off and score like 30 points, and then the next week is like he had to rest, and Latavius Murray just took over. And it was really hard predicting which one would do better. But Jerrick McKinnon on the 49ers with Alex Smith.
Alex Smith, you're talking way back.
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo,
sorry. Yeah, I was very confused. Yeah.
Brett's got the beach hangover right now.
I do, yeah. I'm pretty tired from that drive yesterday. But anyways, with Jerrick McKinnon pairing up with the newly acquired as of last year, Jimmy Garoppolo, it's going to be an interesting situation. I really like McKinnon, and I think that he did show flashes of potential last year in his filling in role, and by all reports and everything, it sounds like that they're going to go with him, and they're fine with that. What do you think about that situation?
Yeah, I mean they want him to be a 3-down back. They think he can be a 3-down back. I'm not too sure about that. I do like McKinnon, but I don't think that full workload is going to sit well with him. I think Matt Breida is going to actually get quite a few touches in this offense. And Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the primary, offensive cog in this, where it's going to be all through him. They're going to pass a lot, I believe. So McKinnon, I like the fact. I think he'll score more I'll be more valuable because of his touchdown potential than his yardage and usage, I should say. But
he's a good receiving back too, which makes him a little bit more valuable in PPR formats.
Yeah, he's okay at that, but the only reason I think he was that type of back in Minnesota was because of other running backs in front of him. Obviously, Adrian Peterson was there, Dalvin Cook and Latavius Murray he had to deal with. So McKinnon, and now that they have Breida in San Francisco, I think he's going to be more of the receiving back, and McKinnon's going to be like first and second down.
Yep. I like that. Next up on the list, coming from the Patriots to the Tennessee Titans, Dion Lewis. This one is... We're all over the board on this one.
I'm not.
No, I know you're not, but just the fantasy community in general is all over the board. I have seen him on ranks that I can't even believe, whether it be extremely too high or really or way too low, which I would tend to be on the low side because I really like Derrick Henry. But a lot of people are saying that because they went out and got Dion Lewis, he's instantly more valuable than Derrick Henry in fantasy, which I just completely disagree with.
That blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind.
I mean, there are plenty. I mean, I would say that the rankings list that I've seen, more often than not, he's ahead of Derrick Henry.
What are people thinking? What on earth are you thinking? Derrick Henry was arguably. Honestly, I have no problem saying arguably the best running back out of his draft class, and that was with Ezekiel Elliott. It's just Ezekiel Elliott he's blown up because he's behind an incredible offensive line. He got the starting role right away. Derrick Henry, when he's the starter and has the full workload that a starter has, he's been nothing but brilliant. Right, RB1 every day of the week. So bringing in Dion Lewis, I don't see how that pushes Derrick Henry off to the side.
No.
How on earth does that do that? No, it doesn't.
Because Dion Lewis isn't the type of guy. I mean, he's not going to be the first and second down guy.
No,
I mean, he's not built that way.
And if he is, then something is terribly wrong with the people in Nashville running this team. But no, I don't think it's going to happen. Derrick Henry is going to have a ton of carries this year. Dion Lewis is going to be a change of pace kind of guy here and there. He is not going to be used like he was in New England.
No.
Not even close to what he was used in New England.
No.
So it's all Derrick Henry.
I think his role is going to be, compared to like a Charles Sims. Obviously, I think Dion Lewis is a little bit better than Charles Sims, but honestly, not that much better. Because Charles Sims does a really good job at what he does, and I think Dion Lewis has the same exact role.
People need to realize what players in the Patriots offense are like. They can take mediocre talent and elevate them into what people are talking Dion Lewis is right now. It doesn't usually when a player leaves the Patriots, they drastically decrease their value. And we've seen it time and time again. I can't talk today. So
you got the beach hangover. Thinking about my trip.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about seafood. Sorry guys. But anyway, Dion Lewis, thumbs down for anyone who has him, even in their top 20. Derrick Henry is going to be the guy.
Yep. So you think do you think Derrick Henry might be a sleeper pick? Honestly, it's sad talking about him to be like a sleeper.
He should, in all honesty, and maybe I'm a little skittish too, just because all this talk. But Derrick Henry, in all honesty, if it was just plain simple, he's the guy, first, second down back. Well, hell, even he could be even the third down back. And Dion Lewis just comes in every now and then. Yeah. With that offensive line and Marcus Mariota as quarterback, why not a top 10 guy? Honestly, why not a top 5 guy in terms of what his production could be this year?
Yep. All right. Next up on the list is LeGarrette Blount, coming from the Eagles last year to the Detroit Lions this year. Kind of an interesting pick for the Lions because that's not really the type of running back they have had in the past few years.
Well, they're trying to switch it up because
what they're doing hasn't been working.
Amir Abdullah has been horrible. Obviously, they have Theo Riddick as their scat back, their third down guy, and he'll continue to do that because he's one of the best in the league at it. Right. But now, LeGarrette Blount, and they also draft Kerryon Johnson, which they're saying that he could be a 3-down back as well.
Yeah.
So
I have no idea.
I don't really want to touch anyone. If I had to pick, I'd probably go with Kerryon just because he's a younger guy. He might. Yeah. I think LeGarrette's going to get quite a bit of work early on, especially. Yeah. But Kerryon, I'd probably take as like a late round flyer.
I wouldn't pick any of them early. I'm not confident in any of them. I do think Amir Abdullah is the odd man out in that backfield.
Yeah, Amir Abdullah is
fall off.
pushed aside.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with him. But I do like Kerryon Johnson. A lot of reports have been really positive, like you said, about him. But LeGarrette Blount, he does a lot of. He's the big bruiser. He did the same thing on the Eagles. Obviously, the Eagles are a little bit better than the Lions last year. So
a wee bit.
So you don't know how that plays into it. But there's not a whole lot I really have to say about LeGarrette.
Yeah, other than he's going to just be maybe just that goal line guy. Yeah. That might be a problem in terms of drafting Kerryon or something like that. Yeah. It might. It's good if we're talking LeGarrette Blount, which we are. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess maybe I'd take Kerryon above LeGarrette. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. And I think honestly, you might be able to take. LeGarrette might be taken in a lot of drafts before Kerryon. Yeah. At this point, anyway, I feel like the hype eventually is going to change where Kerryon is taken above LeGarrette. But yeah, we'll see as the time goes.
Yeah. Jeremy Hill going to the Patriots from the Bengals. This is an interesting move. They're trying to fill their depth chart after getting rid of Dion Lewis. I like Jeremy Hill a lot. I think he has a lot of potential. He's still young.
Yeah.
He's still a lot younger than people think. He's younger than I thought.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Whenever he got traded, I started looking at stats and everything, and it was surprising how many years he had. What is he, like 25?
20. I think he'll turn 25 this season.
That's what I thought. But going to that Patriots offense, there's always a smoke screen in terms of what the Patriots do in their backfield and how they use the running backs and which running backs that they will use. So, all we can really talk about at this point is what our guts say, what they're going to do in the backfield, and I don't even know if I'm confident enough to give a gut feeling.
my gut is saying a lot of things right now. But Jeremy Hill, obviously they drafted Sonny Michel in the first round, and people are all aboard that hype train. I'm not jumping on quite yet because I think Rex Burkhead is going to get quite a bit of work this year. And even Jeremy Hill, I think he's going to be the premier goal line back for the Patriots. I think they're going to use him as kind of, and obviously I think they still have Gillislee. I don't think he's going to be much of a fantasy option this year, but obviously he wasn't really last year. But Jeremy Hill, I fully expect him. I said at the beginning of the year, I said when he got, or when he went and signed with the Patriots, I was like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Jeremy Hill had double-digit touchdowns in New England. I think he's going to be that type of guy because, again, he is young. He's super talented. Yeah. He's just got to stay healthy, and that Patriots offense, it's going to provide fantasy or a lot of fantasy value. And Jeremy Hill, I think, is going to have, honestly, just as much fantasy value as Sonny Michel, really, just because of the touchdowns.
Yeah, and it may be one of the situations where, 1 week it's one guy, next week it's the next guy. And
it's always going to be like that.
We're used to that, so, you may want to, not take the risk and not roster anyone.
Yeah, I don't like drafting Patriots running backs very often.
For that very reason.
Yep.
Isaiah Crowell.
The Crow
going to the Browns.
Yeah, sorry, screw up in the notes.
No, he's coming from the Browns to the New York Jets. The Jets had a surprisingly decent year last year. I don't think a lot of people expected a lot out of them, but they seemed to get it done. But the one thing that they did lack a little bit was the running game. They didn't have it, and so bringing in Isaiah Crowell. He let a lot of people down last year.
Yeah.
I know I had him in a league that I just kept rolling him out week after week, and it was just disgusting.
Yeah.
It was just a constant letdown. And so you think his situation improves?
No. I think he's he's a good running back in my opinion, but there are a bunch of about the same tier guys on that team now. They have Thomas Rawls. They have Bilal Powell. Obviously, the quarterback situation is going to be better with Sam Darnold. So that's going to be nice for just the offense in general.
Yeah.
But that's a very, very cloudy situation as well. A lot of these running backs situations have become like that, where it's hard to pick one guy. I guess if I had to take a Jets running back, I was going to say Crowell, but no, I'd probably take Powell. Even though they don't even really like him that much, but
no?
I think he's more of he can catch the ball out of the backfield a lot more efficiently than the other two guys. So, I mean, Crowell, I like the guy and all, but I don't think he's going to have much fantasy value in New York.
Yeah, it's hard for me to get excited about him either. Frank Gore, the ageless wonder, he just keeps on pounding.
Keeps on keeping on.
But now he is pounding on a different team.
Yes.
Coming from the Colts to the Miami Dolphins.
Going back to Miami, his college days, he's young again.
Yeah, he is young again. And, the Dolphins, unfortunately, I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league next year. I don't have a lot of faith in Tannehill or whoever quarterback they decide to go with.
Yeah.
Right now it looks like Tannehill.
And they're zero wide receivers, basically.
And they don't have any wide receivers, that's true. Frank Gore, he does solid every year.
Yeah.
He's very reliable.
He is.
He's never going to excite you, and you're never really loving to play him. But when you have to, it seems to always work out. I don't know that it's going to work out that way in Miami.
Yeah.
Because I really just don't see them scoring very many touchdowns on offense.
Well, that and the fact that even on the Colts, Frank Gore was, when he was there, he was pretty much the first and second down guy. I mean, him being on the older side, people would come in for spells, and he'd take some rest on the sideline.
Give him some oxygen.
Yeah, but he's always seemed like he's been the first, second down guy his entire career. But now, Kenyon Drake might be the starter in front of him. So
yeah, I don't like Kenyon Drake. I think that he's going to be. I think he's going to be more valuable than Frank Gore. Honestly.
Yeah, I think Kenyon is going to be the guy. He's going to be mainly the guy in between the 20s. Gore might be more of a red zone goal line type of back, which I mean, that's a good way for Drake to learn and step up into a role like that. I think it's really good that the Dolphins brought in Frank Gore because I'm not so sure Kenyon Drake could have just immediately jumped into that full workload that a premier running back could handle. So,
right.
Yeah, Frank Gore, I mean, not too much. I'm not too thrilled about his fantasy value, but it's a nice, I guess, compliment to Kenyon Drake. I'm not really worried about Drake's value since they've signed Gore, so I'm not really moving him up or down.
No, and I think the management, they have faith in Kenyon and Damian, with being willing to part ways with J.J. mid-season last year.
Yeah.
With not knowing that Frank Gore would be available or if they would have a chance, so they. I think they have a lot of faith in Kenyon, and I think that he's going to get the first shot at that, kind of starting job.
Yeah. I do want to. I missed a running back. I found one.
I was trying to think this whole time who you might have missed.
Yeah, I missed one. C.J. Anderson going to the Panthers.
Dang it.
C.J. Anderson.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Obviously, we talked a little bit about this a few weeks back when he originally signed, and I like what C.J. Anderson can do. I really like him as a running back. I think he's an underrated back, but he's probably going to be like maybe half of what Jonathan Stewart's production was last year, which is, I think, is like 800 yards and, it was like 400 or 500 yards and like 8 touchdowns, which I mean, I'm all on board Christian McCaffrey this year, so I'm not too excited about C.J. Anderson being there. I don't know. McCaffrey, I think he's going to have close to 2. He's going to increase his touches. He's probably going to double his touches from last year.
Yeah. And
that's not going to sit well with anyone who thinks C.J. Anderson is going to be that valuable.
Yeah, because you got to think where the touch is coming from.
Yeah, exactly. All right, moving on to wide receivers, unless you had any more running backs.
No, I couldn't think of. I didn't even catch C.J. Anderson.
No, I mean, there's some that we can, like Chris Ivory, Jonathan Stewart, but they're not going to be that much fantasy relevant or have many fantasy implications.
Doug Martin.
I guess we could talk Doug Martin.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about? You think it's going to be him and Marshawn splitting carries, or what?
If I had to, I don't know.
I don't know what Gruden's going to do with that.
That's the thing is John Gruden is kind of an unknown entity right now. I think that he's going to pass the ball quite a bit.
Yeah.
I could see Doug Martin and Marshawn split, just pretty much splitting time 50-50.
Honestly, by the end of the year, I'm not too thrilled about what they can do, like, yardage-wise.
Yeah.
But I think by the end of the year, both will have about 5 touchdowns each.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. All right, anyway, moving on to wide receivers. First on the list, Jarvis Landry, going from the Dolphins to the Browns. Obviously, Browns, we've talked, they're getting a whole bunch of new toys, whether it be Tyrod Taylor or Baker Mayfield throwing to these guys, Jarvis Landry specifically. I'm not too sure, honestly, because I like Tyrod a lot. I think he's underrated. Baker, I don't think he's... I mean, he's good. He's not going to be the superstar that people think he is. Yeah. So I'm not really sure who I'd want throwing the ball to Jarvis at the moment. I guess Tyrod's fine for that. Short yardage stuff. Tyrod's got an arm, and he likes to go deep a lot. I don't know what they're going to try to do in Cleveland with that. But Jarvis Landry, I can't see his value being more than it was in Miami. There's no way. I think he has the record for most receptions in the first 3 or 4 years of his career. So I don't see it. There's no way. Jarvis Landry was the only reliable receiver in Miami.
Right.
Now he's on a team with Josh Gordon, who's probably the number one in a lot of people's eyes. Corey Coleman's a great receiver. David Njoku being the tight end. They have all these running backs now. They have a mobile quarterback. So there's no way. And Jarvis, I love the fact that he actually scored a decent amount of touchdowns last year. But you can't tell me that he's going to have a better season than he did last year.
No, I just don't expect it. He's not going to a good situation. Unfortunately, the Browns just haven't been in a good situation in a while. So you can't say. I know he's coming from the Dolphins, which they haven't been in a good situation either. So I just think it's going to be about the same.
Lateral move, if anything.
If anything.
Yeah. All right, number 2 on the list, Brandon Cooks going to the Rams. That was a shocking trade that the Patriots made about a month ago. I've never been a Brandon Cooks believer. I think he's just a mid-tier.
I'll vouch for that.
Wide receiver. Obviously, the numbers jump off the page. I can't argue with that. But you look at the situations he's been in. They're just literally no receiver in the NFL can say that they've been with Drew Brees for a couple years and then Brady for another. There's got
to be something else you don't like about him.
I just don't think I like the fact
you can't just discount players just because they have good quarterbacks.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying his talent or what he actually is not as good as what people think just because of those quarterbacks. He's fast. He's got meh hands, route running, meh. Everything's about just mediocre. He's super fast. That's fine. That's great for any receiver, obviously, and any quarterback throwing to him, yes. But now he's on a Rams offense, which was fantastic last year, I will say. But Jared Goff, he's good. He's no Brady or Breeze.
Nope.
He's in an offense now that is primarily a running offense. Patriots and Saints definitely are not that. And Brandon Cooks, I think, honestly, I don't even see him having much better of a year than what Sammy Watkins did last year, which was not even a top 30 receiver.
No, I think...
and people are going to draft him close to the top 10 in terms of wide receivers, and I just think that's absolutely nuts.
That's extremely too high. They just spread the ball out so much. Jared Goff, he doesn't pepper any. And the only player he peppers is Todd Gurley, and that's because it's Todd Gurley.
Yeah, it's Todd Gurley. But even in terms of receivers, honestly, I would. If someone told me that they were taking Robert Woods over Brandon Cooks, I wouldn't be shocked.
No.
I don't know if I'd pull the trigger on that, but
I don't think I would, but I.
And Cooper Kupp,
he gets close to me.
Cooper Kupp and Goff, they had a nice little rapport going on there for a while, especially towards the end of the season. They have some decent tight ends, but obviously it's going to run through Gurley, like we mentioned. So Brandon Cooks, I think this is going to be his worst fantasy season by a long shot.
For fantasy drafts, the way I think about that situation is, do I want to pay up for the Brandon Cooks name when I could go a couple rounds later and get someone like Robert Woods wouldn't go a couple rounds later. But honestly, I'd be more willing to wait to the later rounds to take Cooper Kupp.
Yeah,
and you may get really lucky with Cooper Kupp. With Brandon Cooks, you may waste a lot of draft capital.
Yeah,
and not get what you're paying for.
And again, by the time the season ends, I wouldn't be shocked if Cooper Kupp had more receptions than Brandon Cooks. I really would not.
Yeah,
they have the report, but anyway,
they do.
Next on the list, Allen Robinson going to the Bears from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bears have needed a wide receiver for a while now since Alshon's left and Brandon Marshall has been gone. I love Allen Robinson.
I do too.
But there's always a but. Mitch Trubisky, I don't know.
Nothing simple here.
I don't know exactly how I feel about Mitch Trubisky because I haven't seen him with really a good offense yet. Obviously, they have a new head coach in Chicago.
Yeah. Which was necessary.
I really like Allen Robinson. I don't think he's going to have a fantasy season. I think his better fantasy seasons are behind him. I still think he's going to be a pretty good receiver. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns. Honestly, he might get close to double-digit touchdowns this year, even in a bad Bears offense. Yeah. But I don't like it so much where I'm going to be jumping all over him to draft.
Yeah, it's just the complete unknown of Mitch Trubisky. I have no idea how I feel about him either. I don't know if he's good. I don't know if he's mediocre. I don't know if he's bad.
He's promising. I'll say that.
Yeah, he's got a lot of upside potential, and if he fires on all cylinders, then the wide receivers are going to get a couple of ticks up, and Allen Robinson's at the top of the list. So it's a risky pick for me.
Yeah. Next on the list, Sammy Watkins going to the Chiefs. Sammy's just bouncing around teams like a beach ball at a Nickelback concert. But Sammy Watkins on the Chiefs now. They obviously have Tyreek Hill, who's kind of the same style of player that Sammy is. A little smaller, but, a lot faster. But honestly, it could work out really, really well if Patrick Mahomes is actually, legit and can throw the ball well enough to where Sammy Watkins and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce can have just field days with it. Yeah. Obviously, Sammy's really never had... Tyrod, he had Tyrod there for a while. He was a deep ball guy. He had Jared Goff last year, which was okay. They mainly used him in the red zone. He had quite a few touchdowns, nothing really big yardage. But Mahomes, I think they're going to let him sling it pretty often. They obviously use Kareem Hunt quite a bit running the ball, but Sammy Watkins, it's hard to gauge where I'm going to draft him right now because, again, health is always a concern with him, and then this new offense. So, as of right now, I think he could honestly be at some point, he could maybe be a top 20 receiver this season. Again, I'm taking Tyreek Hill above him. A lot of people are taking Tyreek Hill even in the top 10 in terms of wide receivers, which is fine. I don't know if I'm going to
how much faith you have in Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be interesting to watch that unfold this season. So Sammy Watkins, I still think the talent's there. He's still a young guy. It's just it's more of a waiting game in terms of when I want to draft him.
Yeah.
All right, next, Jordy Nelson. Jordy Nelson going to the Raiders from the Packers. This was the biggest shock of the year so far for me.
Well, definitely for you.
Yeah,
but for
definitely.
Me as well.
It just completely floored me. But yeah, Jordy Nelson on the Raiders now. I think he's going to be a just touchdown machine, honestly. I think he's going to have... He might honestly lead the league. No, okay, I won't say that because DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, there's other guys like that. Yeah. But Jordy Nelson, double-digit touchdowns, I think it's no problem, honestly. Amari Cooper, I think he's going to be more of the yardage guy, and then Jordy Nelson is going to be the red zone threat. Derek Carr is going to be, hopefully, a little more polished with John Gruden coaching in Oakland now. So... Jordy Nelson, I really don't have a problem with taking, even in the range of like where Sammy Watkins will probably go. Maybe even in the range where I wouldn't push him up that far, but maybe like Allen Robinson or Brandon Cooks area.
Maybe. For me, it's just I just don't have a lot of faith in Derek Carr. I just don't think he's...
And that's fair.
I like John Gruden and everything like that, but I just don't have a lot of faith in the Oakland offense just in general. And I just don't think that there's going to be a lot of touchdowns to go around.
That's understandable, but I
Jordy
think
Nelson is, he is on the older side, but he's one of the most sure-handed wide receivers in the league. He's an incredible.
He's one of the best
zone
receivers
threat.
we've had for the past 10 years, honestly.
Yeah, and he's an incredible red zone threat, but Derek Carr is no Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, yeah, that's obviously the thing. Taking away that connection is the numbers. The numbers are going to drop. Yeah. That is just a given. But I mean, Jordy Nelson's he's a much better receiver than Michael Crabtree. And Crabtree had an okay year last year, and he was mainly a touchdown guy, much more so than Amari Cooper. So that's my only, take there.
I think Amari Cooper finally takes a step up this year too.
Finally. We've been saying it for 3 years.
I can't emphasize the word finally enough. But I think that's gonna. I think the wide receiver core is gonna flow through him. And I think Jordy Nelson will get plenty of touchdowns, but I think Amari Cooper has a much better year last year, for sure.
Definitely. Other side, we were just talking about Michael Crabtree, so he's going to the Ravens now. Just whatever. I mean, that's the only word I can really say
the
about.
Ravens needed wide receivers, so they got one.
I don't see much happening here. I really don't. I mean, Crabtree, he'll score like 5 touchdowns. He's not going to be a yardage guy, really. I think they're going to run the ball quite a bit, but just Flacco, I don't like it. I just don't like it. Crabtree is not going to have that great of a season this year. Maybe top 30, maybe, and that's pushing it. Yeah. I probably wouldn't even draft him in the top 40, in my opinion. There's a lot of rookies that I'd take over him.
Yeah.
All right, next, Jordan Matthews, going to the Patriots. We're getting on the lower tier end of these guys now. But Jordan Matthews, I still have some faith in the guy. And I think him being on the Patriots, again, you just throw a guy on the Patriots and it elevates them in terms of what they can possibly bring to the table. Again, whether Bill Belichick uses him or not is the question, but I think they will. They just got rid of Brandon Cooks. And now Jordan Matthews is, again, the numbers jump off the page when you're looking at that's a weird thing to me. Jordan Matthews and Brandon Cooks are very similar in the fact that they have like records that like in the first couple of years of their career that no one else can have. The list that Jordan Matthews is on. I mean, the other guys on that list are Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, Terrell Owens. The list goes on and on. Calvin Johnson was on that list, but people give Brandon Cooks all the hype because he's been on these teams, like I said, with dominant quarterbacks, and it's looked fantastic. Jordan Matthews hasn't had that. So now, if he does get paired up with Brady, I think it's going to be a very, very, very good season for Jordan Matthews.
Yeah. Before this trade, or before Jordan Matthews going to the Patriots, I was pretty much done with Jordan. I just pretty much thought that it was just over. I was just not wasting my time even thinking about it. No, I didn't have any faith. I mean, he was just like every year. It's just like, okay,
he's hurt a lot. I'll give you that.
I know, and that's one of the biggest issues with him. And so, I mean, my thing is like I'm just not gonna worry about him anymore. But then he goes to the Patriots, and then I'm like, okay, I have to revisit him. You have to. I mean, like you're saying, when you're a wide receiver on the Patriots, there's a chance that you're going to have some pretty substantial fantasy impact. You never know what they're going to do. He may not be involved at all. I don't know.
Maybe not.
And I still lean towards the side that he's not going to provide enough fantasy value for me to put any faith in him. But the upside has definitely increased this offseason with him, in my opinion.
Yeah, well said. Okay, next on the list, Paul Richardson going to the Redskins. You've already heard my take on the Redskins. I think they're going to be very, very bad this year. Paul Richardson's a good receiver, and they're going to have to throw a lot, but can Alex Smith give Paul Richardson even half of what he was, production and value that he was getting with Russell Wilson as his quarterback? So I mean, I like the move. It's a great fit, honestly, but I don't see much value coming out of it. I still like Jamison Crowder and Josh Doxson more than Paul Richardson.
Yeah, I like that.
I missed 2 names, by the way, on the list. Well, we talked about Brandon Marshall.
Dang it.
Brandon Marshall going to the Seahawks. This is interesting because Russell Wilson, obviously, he lost a lot of weapons this offseason. He lost Paul Richardson. He lost Jimmy Graham. He doesn't have Luke Wilson there anymore. So Brandon Marshall is really the only big red zone guy he has. Doug Baldwin is still, I mean, he's the guy in Seattle. I still expect Doug Baldwin to be a top 10 fantasy wide receiver, but Brandon Marshall coming in might hurt that a little bit. I think the touchdowns there. I think Brandon Marshall still has some play in him, and I think he's going to get a decent amount of looks in the red zone this year, especially with all those guys gone.
Yeah. I like the situation. It's just
meh.
It's just it could go. Oh, there's a little bit of upside and there's a little bit of downside, and it's just.
He's definitely a name that people are going to look at, like in the later rounds, and be like, "Oh, Brandon Marshall's still there on the Seahawks now." Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I mean, that's nice, and they're going to probably jump on it. It's going to be like a nice treat late in the draft. You get them, and
you're like, "Oh, I'm familiar with that name."
Yeah, you know what?
It's going to be in those rounds where
I know that guy.
Draft people are like, "Oh my gosh, why am I even wasting my time?" But then you get to Brandon Marshall, and you're like, "You know what? He is good."
Yeah. You know what? I think I'll draft him. All right, last name on the wide receiver list, Cameron Meredith.
Dang it, I was trying to think of it.
Yeah, Cameron Meredith going to the Saints. Dang. Obviously tore his ACL last year, so we're going to have to monitor that situation. Yeah. But, I mean, he's going to a place where he actually has a quarterback now in Drew Brees. Obviously, Michael Thomas is the guy. But Cameron Meredith would be an incredible number 2. In that offense. They don't really have that many weapons outside of, or in the receiving core outside of Michael Thomas. I mean, Ted Ginn was there. They have Benjamin Watson as a tight end target now. Willie Snead's gone. But outside of that, Brandon Coleman, I guess. But obviously the running game is becoming they're shifting towards more of a running back-led offense. In New Orleans, we saw that last year with Drew Brees throwing only 23 touchdown passes. Alvin Kamara was just dynamite last year. Mark Ingram was dynamite last year. But Cameron Meredith, I think, would be a very, very valuable, again, late-round guy. You're kind of worried about the knee issue, but with Drew Brees as your quarterback, if you're healthy, you're going to have fantasy value.
Right. I thought you were going to go with John Brown. That's who I had in my mind.
John Brown.
Yeah. I was trying to think so hard of who you were going to mention that you missed.
See, again, I don't think he's going to be that fancy relevant. If he went I don't either. If he was on a better offense, like if he went to the Saints, I'd be like, hell yeah, let's get him up on this list. But right now, nah, I don't see it.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the last category, tight ends. And you're talking about Brandon Cooks being blessed with quarterbacks. This is the most blessed tight end of all time. He had the golden years of Drew Brees.
When he was the best tight end in the league. Yes. Sorry, Gronk, but he was.
He really was. And then he goes from the golden years of Drew Brees to Russell Wilson. And now, seemingly, he's in the best situation now with Aaron Rodgers.
Definitely.
Jimmy Graham. I can't even imagine a better quarterback trifecta to go through than those three.
Yeah, I mean, you take Russell and put Brady in, then that makes it better. But that's about that's about as far as you can go there. But I mean, Russell's a really good quarterback.
Yeah.
Sorry, Russell, you know Tom Brady.
No,
my bad.
No. And August Jimmy Graham, his production did drop drastically whenever he went to the Seahawks, especially that first year. Everyone just
and he was hurt.
Everyone was done with him. He was hurt. It was just a bad situation. They didn't use him. They spent all this money on him, and they didn't use him like people thought they should.
Yeah.
He didn't get the touchdown, or he didn't get the red zone looks that everyone expected him to get.
Yep.
But now he goes to the Packers, who score a lot of touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers throws a lot of touchdowns every year, and they have to go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Packers have not focused on throwing to the tight ends as much, but with a major piece of the offense and Jordy Nelson leaving, them getting an actual good, really solid. I mean, one of the elite tight ends in the game. Is that like kind of a paradigm shift in what Green Bay's doing, or is it just he's a good tight end and they signed him?
Well, you say they don't throw to the tight end often, which that's true. But name a tight end that's an elite tight end that they've had. Jermichael Finley was the last one, and he put up some fantasy value, but obviously he got hurt. He didn't last long. So
y'all remember Bubba Franks?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're taking a huge step back.
I'm sure everyone remembers him.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers was in high school, so yeah. But okay, not that far back, but Jimmy Graham is obviously he's marked as a tight end. I don't know if they're going to exclusively use him as a tight end. Yeah. I think he's going to line up on the outside a lot, even in that Jordy kind of lineup, because Jimmy Graham, he's a fast tight end. He's super athletic. He's obviously one of the most talented tight ends we've ever seen, honestly. Yeah. But it's just getting that rapport going with Aaron Rodgers like he had the connection he had with Jordy. We're never going to see that again, honestly, in my opinion. That combo was just unstoppable. The back shoulder stuff. Jimmy Graham, I think he's going to have a fantastic year in Green Bay. I think so too. I think Devontae Adams is going to be the clear-cut go-to target for Aaron Rodgers. I think Randall Cobb's going to get a lot of stuff over the middle of the field. One of these rookies, or Geronimo Allison, could definitely see a lot of targets as well. But Jimmy Graham and Devontae Adams, I fully expect both of those to have over 10 touchdowns each. Yeah. That's an easy thing to say, honestly, with Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback. Rodgers getting close to 40 touchdowns every single year when he's healthy. And Jimmy Graham, Jimmy Graham is just going to be – I don't know where I have him ranked exactly right now, but it's not too far off the field from Gronk, Ertz, Kelsey, and then Graham. He's in the top 4 somewhere. I don't know where I'm going to put him yet, because honestly – If someone told me that Jimmy Graham was going to finish as the number 1 tight end this year, I couldn't tell them they were wrong. I can't say that because, we've seen what he can do in the past, and we know what Aaron Rodgers is. So it's just both stay healthy, and all things are good.
Yep. Our next tight end, we've only got a couple of tight ends left. You did leave one off, though.
Did I?
Yes.
Save it.
Can you think of who?
All right,
you try to think of him. But next guy up.
Oh, I know who I left off.
Austin Seferian-Jenkins going to the Jaguars. He's getting passed around.
The Jaguars.
Yes. I don't really understand the move. I think the Jets should have kept him, especially. They need the offensive weapons, and they
need the pass-catching weapons and the big ones.
And he was big.
He is big.
He's a huge man, and he's got good hands. He had a couple of touchdowns last year that should have been touchdowns that got taken away from him. He was one of the few offensive cogs that were reliable and consistent week after week. But now he's on the Jaguars. They got rid of Mercedes Lewis, who went to the Packers.
Again. Yeah, we didn't mention that.
Yeah. I think that he's gonna have a good year. I don't see it being a whole lot better than the Jets, though.
No, I don't either.
Not for fantasy production.
Yeah.
I think he fits a role that they need desperately.
And there's a lot of targets to go around now in Jacksonville
with Allen Robinson leaving.
Yeah,
he's hurt last year, and to me it's just more of the same for Austin Seferian-Jenkins. I really like the talent. It's a good comeback story from not really panning out in Tampa Bay.
He's had off the field issues, but I think he's fixed those.
Yeah, I think it's been long enough now that I think he's over that, and teammates, even the Jets had nothing but positive things to say about him, even though they let him go. To me, it's just more of the same. I don't see him moving up or down in my rankings from what he was last year on the Jets.
Yeah.
Third and the last one that we have listed, and we'll see if Brandon can guess the tight end that he missed.
I got it.
I have a feeling he knows.
I got
it. Trey Burton going to the Bears. Trey Burton was a very promising tight end last year, filling in a couple times for Zach Ertz. One of the best tight ends that we saw last year. But Trey Burton, anytime that he was asked to step into that role, he did a fantastic job. So he's got a lot of hype surrounding him. But he goes to the Bears, which I don't think is a great situation. Again, we mentioned it with Allen Robinson. Mitch Trubisky is completely unknown. Is he good? Is he bad? Is he meh? I don't know.
Yeah.
So, the same thing that we said about Allen Robinson kind of applies to Trey Burton.
I think...
And Trey Burton has a lot less of a track record of being good than Allen Robinson. Trey Burton's never even had a starting job.
Exactly. I like Trey Burton. I think he's talented,
yeah.
But he is not going to be a top 10 tight end for me this year. I don't think he'll finish as a top 10 either. They still have Adam Shaheen, which they kind of like. I know Trey Burton's going to be the guy, so I'm not saying that Adam Shaheen is going to be like, oh, he's going to take a lot from Trey Burton. Yeah. But yes, new offense, a lot lesser than what he was dealing with on the Eagles last year. Honestly, Trey Burton, his stats might look about the same as what they were on the Eagles last year. He was a backup, I understand that, but he was in a much better offense. There's just so many more tight ends I'd rather have than Trey Burton this year.
Yep. I agree. So, what is the fourth tight end?
Ben Watson.
Yes.
Thank you. Got it, baby. I thought you were going to say Virgil Green.
No, absolutely not. And I wasn't going to say Antonio Gates because, he hasn't been signed yet.
Yes, exactly.
But no, I was not going to say that. No, Ben Watson. I really like Ben Watson.
Yeah. On the Saints, by the way, we didn't mention that.
Sorry. Yeah, he got traded to the Saints from the Ravens. A much better offensive situation for him. They
definitely
the Saints. They need a solid tight end. Last year it was like Kobe Fleener. Not the best tight end.
Nope.
I think Ben Watson's better.
Oh yeah. More reliable, definitely.
More reliable. So I have no problem taking the Saints tight end that I think is a good player.
Would you take? Well, let's see. Okay, I know Jim Graham's on a whole different level.
Yes.
Austin Seferian-Jenkins, Trey Burton, Ben Watson. Who are you taking?
Who would I take first?
Yes.
Might be Ben Watson.
I think so, too. Yeah. I really think so. Obviously, the offensive situation is far better than the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Bears.
Yeah.
And Ben Watson is a great red zone guy. He's gonna have plenty of opportunities to score touchdowns.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Ben Watson, I mean... I like him more than Trey Burton. Yeah.
Yeah, Trey Burton. I think there's more upside potential for Trey Burton than Ben Watson, especially with the new Saints that run the ball all the time.
Yeah. And there's like a 15-year age difference between the two of them, something like that.
That is very true. Trey Burton definitely has more years to flourish.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like the situation Ben Watson is going into, and I think that he's gonna be a late round target for me for tight ends because I typically don't spend the draft capital early on tight ends.
True.
Unless I feel like I'm getting a really solid deal.
Yeah, but I think Ben Watson's probably going to be a late round guy because people are going to take Trey Burton in front of him. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
If you can wait on that and get Ben Watson in a later round, that'd be absolutely great.
Or Virgil Green. He's the only guy there.
Do not draft Virgil Green. Please do not. All right, you ready? Giveaway winner time?
I'm only ready if I won.
Well, you are not eligible. Unless you leave the podcast, then you can be eligible.
All right, I'm signing out, guys. Peace.
Yeah, you don't. No more paychecks that you don't get.
Dang it. Dang it.
Giveaway winner for the T.Y. Hilton signed 8x10 photo. To enter our giveaway, you had to follow us on Twitter at the423football and like our giveaway tweet. Or not like it, retweet it. If you did like it, we appreciate that as well. But anyway, winter time, and for some reason, every time I randomize this thing, I get I'm bad with names anyway. But sorry if I butcher this name. But yeah, name Jason Hajek, Hajek, Jason Hajek.
I think Hadjick. Yeah.
Hadjick. Okay, Jason Hadjick. I think Jason is at Jason_Hadjick. So yeah, congratulations, Jason. We will be DMing you to get information and hook you up with this T.Y. Hilton signed 8x10 photo. And again, thank you for all the people who entered the giveaway. We will try to do another one as soon as possible. We're still working on getting a new item to hopefully give away in the month of June.
Yep.
So
maybe I'll win that one.
Yeah, you will not. So definitely stay in touch. Keep listening as always. Share us with the world. We got to get the listeners out there, or more listeners out there. We're gonna try our very, very best to keep doing this as much as possible.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know if I've mentioned it on the show or not, but I actually have like a job now. So I'm actually working, and it's going to be long hours on the weekends as well. So we're going to try our best to keep this going. It might just be Brett on here one day, or maybe we can get Peyton to come back on.
Don't do that to the listeners.
Don't do it to them. Well,
they deserve better.
Well, I haven't even checked the numbers from last week's show, but it was just me last week, and it's probably bad.
I listened to it. I need to throw out that you did say Melvin Ingram, which I thought was just hilarious.
Melvin Ingram.
I don't know why I think that's so funny.
Instead of Melvin Gordon.
Instead of Melvin Gordon. I just love it when people mix up names like that. It's just whenever they and they don't realize it.
Well, when you're talking to yourself for 40 minutes, it's hard to...
I know. Well, I do that when I'm talking to you on this podcast, so I completely understand it.
Well, we're talking to the listeners. Sorry, guys. This is all for you anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't care about Brandon.
We're going to try to keep doing this as much as possible. Hopefully... once it gets closer to the season, we can put out even more content. Maybe move to 2 or 3 episodes a week, like we did last year. It's just kind of, we're just going to have to try to feel how me working now is going to affect this show. But we want to keep doing this as long as possible because we love doing this. We love everyone listening. So please keep listening. So just make sure you go and follow us on Twitter at the423football. Make sure you like us on Facebook, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and YouTube. Give us a like, leave your comments and reviews, share us with the world. Thanks for listening. We are the 423 Football Podcast.